Let's get a scoop on how to file a previous year return. From ehow.com, it said, this is ehow, said file 1040X. The form required for amending a federal tax return can be done within 3 years from the date of your original return or within 2 years from the date you paid the tax. You will need basic math skills, and the Internal Revenue Service is often quite willing to help. If you need to amend a tax return, you will need to contact State Department of Revenue. So, need to contact the State Department. Number 1, collect all relevant income, deduction, and investment statements. If you have a copy of your previous return, the one that you will like to amend, that would be helpful. Obtain Form 1040X PFD from IRS. So I'm going to copy that in here and retrieve the form. Okay. It'd be great if I could have a printer and just type into this, or print out, fill it out, keep that for your record, and go and use that, copy box per box into the computer and print out and mail the one that get typed in. So I'm gonna keep this is a good link, so I will copy that and put it into my email box for my record. Yeah, good. Amend return and save it. Save now. And I can just click out there. Complete 1040X according to the instructions. The form will require you to calculate the difference between the previous entry, and so set aside sufficient time for completing the form. The time estimated by the IRS for completing the form is 3.5 hours, so schedule accordingly. Adjusting your personal speed in completing and reviewing forms. Be sure to be attached or requested copies of income, deduction, and investment statements. These will account for the change amounts. So it is a good idea, so you don't have to be asked, because most often they'll ask. You will also be asked to explain these changes by entering the line numbers that are being changed and the reason for the change. Name, Social Security number, tax identification number should be all on the attachments. Review the form before mailing it off. Check your math and make sure that all needed forms are completed. So that's just about it. You may want to consider certified mail for your return. What for? If you lose it, you lose it. Then you have to mail a new set. Please feel free to ask IRS for help. So for individuals, for businesses, and for tax exempt organization. So for individuals and for businesses. Okay. Okay, now done with that. Click that out. This is from the IRS. 9 facts on filing an amended return.
Can I have a coconut drink?
An amended tax return generally allows you to file again to correct your filing status, income, or add deductions or credits you may have missed. Here are 9 points the IRS wants you to know about amending your federal income tax return. Use 1040X, amended U.S. individual income tax return to file an amended income tax return. Use Form 1040X to correct previously filed Forms 1040s, and an amended return cannot be filed electronically. Thus, you must file it by paper. Generally, you do not need to file an amended return due to math errors. The IRS will automatically make that correction. Also, do not file an amended return because you forgot to attach tax forms such as W-2s or schedules. The IRS normally will send a request asking for those. Be sure to answer the year of return you are amending at the top of the Form 1040X. Generally, you must file Form 1040X within 3 years from the date you file your original return or within 2 years from the date you paid the tax, whichever is later. If you are amending more than one tax return, prepare 1040 for each return and mail them in separate envelopes to the appropriate IRS campus. I mean, the IRS are pretty busy, and then this is a big office, so you don't want to get things to be mixed up. The 1040X instruction lists the addresses for the campuses. If the changes involve another schedule or form, you must attach that schedule or form to the amended return. If you are filing to claim an additional refund, wait until you have received your original refund before filing your 1040X. Yeah, get things in order, not give them all the requests at once. That confuse the IRS. You may cash that check while waiting for another refund. If you owe additional tax, file Form 1040X and pay the tax before the due date to limit interest and penalty charges that could accrue on your account. Interest is charged on any tax not paid by the due date of the original return without regard to extensions. Your state tax liability may be affected by a change made on your federal return. For more information on how to correct your state tax, contact the state tax agency. So, that is necessary. For future reference, I will copy this and just enter it in my box. About.com Tax Planning US. It happens to the best of us. Okay, let's see what happens. Do I find a minute to your tax return? Well, you need it. Oh yeah, we'll pay 2. Preparing a new 1040. As we will discuss below, the IRS scrutinizes amended tax returns a little more carefully. That means you need to exercise extra vigilance to make sure your new 1040 is as complete as possible. It does not matter if you file your original tax return using 1040E or 1040A forms. You will need to fill out a full 1040 for the amended return because you will need to match up line items from your new 1040 to the various lines on Form 1040X. So probably we need to go line by line on an original form and then show the difference on a 1040X, because you can't just jump right on a 1040X. So let's try this link to Form 1040. Now maybe go to the IRS for that. Okay. Also, attach all necessary schedules, forms, and documentation to your new 1040. It's essential to include any forms that have been added or revised so the IRS has a complete set of information about the changes you are making. Part 2. Preparing Form 1040X. This makes a lot more sense. Before starting in on the 1040X, you need to have in front of you your original tax return and your new Form 1040. From 1040X basically summarizes information from your newly revised Form 1040. You will be transferring information from your corrected 1040 to the 1040X form. The most important part of the entire Form 1040X is Part 3. On the second page of the 1040X, Part 3 is where you get to explain the changes being made to your previously filed tax return. Clear and concise explanations can help the IRS process your amended return more efficiently. If you need additional space that I have provided, you can type up a separate statement. Let's say you forgot to include wages from W-2. The part Three explanations might read as follows. We are reporting additional wages and additional withholding from W-2 we forgot to include on our previous tax return. This resulted in a change to our adjusted gross income, taxable income, total tax and refund. Enclosed is the new 1040 as corrected with a copy of the W-2 attached. The idea is to be concise and point the IRS agent to the specific changes you are making and where they can find those revisions on your documentation. Some extra things to watch out for when preparing for your Form 1040X. Indicate the appropriate tax year you are amending at the top of the form. Form 1040X is a generic form that can be used for any tax year. If you need to revise several different tax returns, you need to submit separate forms for each year. And check the math. Check it twice. Check the refund or amount you owe calculations on lines 17 through line 22. If you receive a bigger refund on your original tax return than you should have, you will need to pay back some of your refund. If your original refund was smaller than you could have received, you will get an additional refund by filing an amended return. Be aware that you have the option to have some or all of your refund apply as an estimated payment to next year's estimated tax. If you want this option, indicate the tax year to which you want the IRS to apply payments on line 22. What happens when you file an amended return? The IRS Service Center will manually process your amended return. They will check to make sure your explanations are sufficient. Will check to see that you have sufficiently documented the changes in your tax return. They will double check your W-2 statements, withholding, and other information reporting your amended tax return. If the IRS needs more explanation or documentation, they will write you a letter and ask for the specific information they need. If you owe additional tax, you should mail in a check to pay for the tax in full. If you are due an additional refund, expect your refund to arrive approximately 8 to 12 weeks. Do amended returns trigger an audit? There has been discussion about various tax professionals whether an amended return will trigger an IRS audit. So far, there's no conclusive evidence. Based on my experience and the experience of other tax professionals, the IRS does not amend tax returns more thoroughly than original tax returns. If you explain the reasons why you are correcting your tax return, and if you back this up with proper documentation, the IRS is likely to process your amended return more efficiently. Let's say you forgot to report the full amount of mortgage interest you could have claimed. You should attach a photocopy of all your 1098 mortgage statements and highlight which one was left off the original return. While the IRS agent could look this information up on their computer, it will be easier and more efficient for them to see the documentation right there in your tax return. The bottom line is filing an amended return is the right thing to do if you need to correct the amount of income, deductions, credits, filing status, or dependence on your return. You can amend to claim tax benefits that will result in additional child tax refund, and you can also amend to remove deductions and credits you were not entitled to. In preparing Form 1040X, you need to provide the rough documentation and clear explanations of your changes.